7-game winning streak. They lost week 1. Remember, they got just forgot to show up. 38-3 against the Saints in Jacksonville. And then they'd won all the games since, and now no Aaron Rodgers, and there you go. When they don't play Aaron Rodgers, since 2008, the year he became a starter, they're 6-12-1. So basically, when he plays, they win twice as much as they lose. When he doesn't play, they lose twice as much as they win.
They're immunized against winning.
Okay. So if you look at it, they are basically an 11-5 team with him, a 5-11 team without him. That's where they go.
JJ said that, by the way, not Ryan.
Listen. It was his word out of 12 said it, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, Chiefs win 13-7. Minus 340 on the money line. Packers were getting 7. They actually covered the spread because of that 4th down touchdown. Under came in by a lot because, let's be honest, neither offense was great. Here on HQ this season, Crown Royal is supporting the local communities that service off the field at kickoffwithcrown.com. All right, JJ. The Chiefs, they won. They only scored 13 points. Patrick Mahomes had 166 yards passing. I'm still not impressed. What the heck is going on? We've been saying, well, they had turnovers this year. Never had turnovers before. They've dealt with turnovers. They didn't have them today.
Yeah.
Still couldn't put the ball in the end zone.
Right.
What's going on?
Well, and the Packers defense isn't that bad, and I don't want to make excuses.
Right. I was going to say.
I started to.
I know. I saw where you were
I started to. No, you look at Mahomes, and it's crazy that all it takes is cover 2 and not blitzing him, and he has turned into Clark Kent. And I'm running out of excuses because before it was, all right, guys are playing him a little differently. But now, and you could say the running game, but they got, 70 rushing yards tonight from Darrell Williams. So it's not that. He didn't turn the football over. He's still not trusting his offensive line all that much. And again, I've been saying this for weeks. The offensive line isn't playing that poorly. He should be trusting them a lot more than he is. But defenses have put a lid on him. And he's just still wanting to take those shots down the field, and they're not turning up. Maybe Tyreek Hill has lost a half a step. Maybe Travis Kelce isn't the world-beating tight end that he was for the last 5 years. Or maybe it's all Patrick Mahomes, and maybe he just set that bar so high, and he is burned hot and bright like supernovas do, and now he's starting to fizzle out. I still refuse to believe that with the Kansas City Chiefs. I still believe that they are a playoff team, and they beat a good team with a below-average young quarterback tonight. And they would have, if Aaron Rodgers had been in that game, maybe the Chiefs would have played up a little bit more. Because what I have seen week in, week out is the Chiefs not matching the intensity of the other team, not matching the level. Sometimes, EK, you've been in this business for a very long time. You get on with someone and they're kind of talking like this. And then all of a sudden you find yourself kind of talking like this. Well, that isn't how I talk on television. You stay with your chest. That's how I feel the Chiefs sometimes play. And we saw it tonight with Jordan Love. They came out and they performed like Jordan Love against Jordan Love.
So, Ryan Wilson, what do you think about the Chiefs?
Well, it's funny you say that.
Look, is it you watch a lot of tape. You do our draft for us. You look at prospects. You look at where your weaknesses are. You look at can you be solved. Dare I say that Patrick Mahomes has been figured out and has not adjusted. This is a league of adjustments. And they're playing 2 high safeties and not blitzing him. And they're saying, we figured you out, dude. It took us a while, but the league has figured you out. And now you're still a really good player, but you're not the best player in the world anymore because we know what to do against you. It's almost like a batter where you pound the fastball, you pound the curve, but all I got to do is try a little change up out of the zone and you chase it every time. We found your weak spot and we just keep throwing it, and now you're a 210 hitter. You're good, but you're not great anymore. Is it fair to say that about Patrick Mahomes?
I think JJ's right, and I think you're also onto something too, EK. It's the lack of patience once he's not able to continue to push the ball down the field. He doesn't like to take the underneath stuff consistently, and what you see happening is him forcing balls downfield. Throwing the interceptions that he didn't throw previously, but the funny thing is he had a lot of turnover-worthy plays the last 2 years. He just got lucky. He's not been lucky this time around, and JJ talked about the sputtering offense. If you look at the second half, they had 5 possessions. The first 4 were punts. 3 of those first 4s are 3 and outs. 1 went for -1 yards over those 3 plays. The last, perhaps most important play of the game in the second half, at least, was that 4th down throw we saw to end the game on the highlights there. I don't know what the easy fix is. The offensive line was a huge issue coming to the season. They traded for Orlando Brown. They drafted Trey Smith on day 3. He's been a special player. They got Creed Humphrey in the middle at center there. The offensive line has still been up and down to protect Patrick Mahomes. I think JJ's right. You need to lean more on the running game, and you have to, if you're Andy Reid, make Patrick Mahomes be patient. But, EK, I don't know how you make someone who's an MVP, who's won a Super Bowl, who's been to 2 Super Bowls, how you convey that to them when they've had so much success so early.
Well, you know what you do? You walk in, if you're Andy Reid, and you go, look it. Everywhere I've gone, we've won. Everywhere I've gone, we've been great. Everywhere I've gone, the offense has been terrific. I know what I'm doing. They've adjusted. We're going to adjust to them, and here's how we're going to do it. You know, and that's maybe how it goes down. You know, even Rocky and Rocky 2 had to learn to fight left-handed. You go all the way back there. Patrick Mahomes may learn how to make an adjustment. First time since 2009. They're the first team to score 30-plus in their first 5 road games since 2000. That was the Rams. That was the greatest show on turf. First team to win 5 straight road games by 12 or more since the 05 Colts. I mean, they just rolled those over you, not so you memorize it. But the point is they have been historically good on the road to start this season. Meanwhile, 49ers, 8 straight home losses. That's tied for the longest streak in the NFL. And that's a league with Houston and Detroit in it. Niners are 0-4 when they throw a pick. 3-0 when Jimmy G doesn't. Didn't matter. They had George Kittle. He got activated, 6 for a $101 and a touchdown. Because this was about what Arizona is doing on the road. You see it there. Not only they win, but they're winning big. And in these games, they are getting points. There's only one game they're favored in. Every other game getting points. They don't care. All they do is win, win, win no matter what. 205 on the money line. And the over came in quite comfortably. It was 44.5. This season, Crown Royal is supporting the local communities that service off the field at kickoffwithcrown.com. I'm Eric Casilius, Ryan Wilson, Jonathan Jones. JJ, was this Arizona's most impressive game of the year, all things considering, that they didn't have 3 marquee players, lost another offensive star in the first, and just kept rolling and were up 31-7 at one point in time? I
mean, there's no question it was impressive that, you know, yes, you're right. It was very impressive that without Kyler Murray, that without DeAndre Hopkins, that they lose Chase Edmonds, but they didn't win in impressive fashion. They didn't do anything on offense. I said, oh, hold on now. This team is just 3 deep everywhere. I mean, you look at what Colt McCoy did. This says more about the San Francisco 49ers being a completely fraudulent NFL team than it does the Arizona Cardinals put them in Super Bowl 56. When you look at Colt McCoy and the advanced statistics, he had 1 intermediate pass that traveled 10 to 19 yards in the air. He had 2 deep balls, and he only completed 1 of those. So total, he went 2 of 3 on passes that went 10 yards or more in the air. He had 3 attempts, and they won by double digits. Oof. They put up 31 points, and he didn't have to air the ball out whatsoever. They were able to run all over them. It was yards after the catch. I think what the San Francisco 49ers need to do, D'Amico Ryans, the defensive coordinator, Kyle Shanahan, of course, the head coach, is use one of those padded practices this week and let those guys get out there in pads. I know they're a little banged up, but clearly they don't know how to tackle, because we just saw it there with James Conner being able to run right through whatever he wanted to. They didn't tackle at all, and whenever they get the film, they're probably going to see somewhere close to 15 to 20 missed tackles on the game today. So yes, congratulations to the Arizona Cardinals. It's hard to win in the NFL. It's really hard to win when your MVP shortlist candidate at quarterback is not playing in that game. Your all-pro wide receiver is not playing in the game. One of your top running backs is not playing the game. No question about it. And by the way, J.J. Watt just went on IR not that long ago. All those things said, this says way more to me about the San Francisco 49ers and about how I am crossing them out of my... If we run an in the hunt graphic and the San Francisco 49ers are in it just because they're mathematically not eliminated, I promise you I will leave. I promise you I will leave.
Are you going to second that emotion, to quote an old song there? That this is, yeah, great. Arizona, great job. You won with a bunch of guys out. You're 7-1. You keep doing it on the road. We give you your flowers. Okay, done. Next, new paragraph. The bigger story here is, what is going on with the 49ers? Are you signing there?
Yeah, although I would like to see that graphic just to see JJ get out of here for a little bit. But maybe. We'll see. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But I think JJ is right, truthfully, because the 49ers, and look, I've been off the 49ers for weeks now, and I just don't get, I think Kyle Shanahan is a great coordinator, but sometimes the Peter principle comes into effect, and this is an example of that, where you get elevated to a job that maybe you're not qualified for. Great X's and O's. I'm not sure he's great at personnel. And look, you have a 13-win season and sandwiched around that, or a lot of 6-win seasons. So I think that the proof is in the pudding, as they say. And you can say, well, these guys are injured. I would point you to the Packers previous Thursday night where they won with Aaron Rodgers and no one else. I would point you to the team they played today, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, you can't use it. You're exactly the point. You can't use injury today as an excuse when the team that just walked into your barn and kicked your butts was a 5.5-point dog because they didn't have their quarterback, who was one of the MVP candidates. They didn't have their best receiver. They didn't have their best defensive player. And then they lost their starting running back. They didn't have their other wide receiver, who might be going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's at the end of his career, but I get it, in A.J. Green. I mean, their whole team was out, and they walloped you. So San Francisco, you can't be using injury as a problem. J.J. said, look, I get it. You're going to look at Jimmy Garoppolo, but they're not tackling well. This is supposed to be a defensive team. Defense was great when the year they got to the Super Bowl. This team just doesn't tackle anymore. What's wrong in San Francisco?
Well, to reiterate your point, no one's tackling anyone around the NFL. So if that's the case, you turn to the offense, and the offense just hasn't been clicking. And look, this isn't all Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not a huge Jimmy Garoppolo supporter. He had an interception towards the end there that wasn't great, but they were trying to come back. Prior to that, George Kittle fumbled. Prior to that, Brandon Ayuk fumbled, and that gave the ball back to the Cardinals, and they kept scoring points. I don't know what the easy fix is. Maybe padded practices, as JJ notes, is one way to get things jump-started, but I think they're in a really tough division. They have a lot of work to do. It's not going to be solved by a padded practice or two. There are a lot of holes. I don't know what the answer is. Look, Kyle Shanahan isn't going anywhere, but I don't know what the solution is, and I don't know if we see Trey Lance sooner rather than later. And when we do see him, does that magically change things? I'm guessing not. So to answer your question, UK, I don't know what the answer is or how you fix it. And if they're in the AFC South, that's one thing. Unfortunately for them, they're in the NFC West.
All right, San Francisco's 3-5. Seattle's 3-5 in that division. Arizona's a one-loss team. Coming in the Sunday Night Football, the Rams are a one-loss team. Better chance, Arizona wins the division or San Francisco finishes last?
I'm going to go with San Francisco finishes last. My only concern with the Cardinals, and maybe it doesn't matter, is Kyler Murray's health. And we talk about this, I feel like, every week. But I feel like the Rams could hit their stride. I don't know how the 49ers are going to hit their stride, how they're going to get better, how they're magically going to solve all these problems that have plagued them for 10 weeks now.
I know you and I both agree. I mean, San Francisco's finishing last in this division.
When you look, they're getting Russell Wilson back in Seattle, and they actually stayed afloat without him. You know, you wanted to win another game, but they were close with Geno Smith.